Hello and welcome back. So glad you have all tuned in today, and I'm here with some news. I've not been posting for a while. It's been quite a busy time, but I really wanted to post something today for you. So I'm here with a couple of stories that especially caught my attention and I want to give some coverage to. So first and foremost, let's start off with a story that said that the Duchess of Sussex faced real and disgusting, credible threats to her life when she lived in the UK. And this was revealed by a former counter-terrorism chief. So the story says this: Neil Basu, who was the Met Police's Assistant Commissioner of Special Operations until last year, called the threats disgusting and, quote, very real. Asked if they were credible, he replied, quote, absolutely, and if you'd seen the stuff that was written and you were receiving it, the kind of rhetoric that's online, if you don't know what I know, you would feel under threat all the time, end quote. Mr. Basu said there had been threats to Meghan more than once, adding, quote, we had teams investigating it. People have been prosecuted for those threats, end quote. The revelation comes just before the couple are set to release a Netflix documentary about their own story, while the prince's memoir will hit shelves in January. So speaking as he prepared to leave the Met after 30 years, he also suggested his outspoken views on race had seen him blocked from becoming head of National Crime Agency, demanding a crackdown on racist officers, and slammed Home Secretary Suella Braverman for her controversial comments about how it was her, quote, dream to send migrants to Rwanda. Mr. Basu, who was Britain's most senior ethnic minority police officer, told Channel 4 News that racism was still a problem in the police, and new Metropolitan Police Commissioner Sir Mac Rowley was, quote, doing the right thing by calling for more powers to sack officers. So he went on to talk about that, but this is such an interesting update. I just saw the story and I just wanted to bring this to you. So there we have it from Neil Basu, who was the Met Police's Assistant Commissioner of Special Operations until last year, who called the threats, quote, disgusting and, quote, very real. And it is so good that he has taken this initiative to speak up, and it does, in fact, put a lot of emphasis on the weight of the Duke of Sussex wanting a review of the decision that kept him from paying for police protection for himself and his family while visiting, from the US. He, in fact, won a bid against the Home Office over his security arrangements in court. I think that happened a while ago. And can you imagine this with all of those who are in the know, and now someone speaking out who was in a position well placed to know the severity of the threats, even saying that some of these individuals have been prosecuted? It just does make you wonder how it has come to this, that the Duke of Sussex has to take legal action to secure his own arrangements for protection in the UK. It is quite interesting, right? So, of course, let's just keep the Duke and Duchess of Sussex in our prayers, because it is so fitting for Prince Harry to challenge the decision by Ravek, the lack of transparency around Ravek's decision-making and their policies concerning the level of protection that was accorded or was to be accorded to the Sussexes while in the UK. And this needs a spotlight on another level. It has been interesting that even when Prince Harry spoke about this to Oprah, he said that he never ever considered that his own police protection would be taken away from him, because he said he, quote, inherited the risk. He is, or was at that time, sixth in line, and now, the family needs protection, and he is willing to pay out of pocket. He has said it himself. He did not want to burden the taxpayer. But all in all, it just makes one wonder. And the optics of that as well on Ravek and, of course, the Home Office. Even having someone of that level of significance willing to pay it for himself, and them knowing that there is that kind of a threat analysis on his own family, especially on Meghan, that is out there. And there's still a back and forth what is going on, right? So let me know your thoughts on this, on these revelations by Neil Basu, who spoke out and said that if people knew what he knew, even emphasizing the kind of rhetoric that he has seen and the kind of threats that have been specifically put towards Meghan, it just is so interesting that this has not been given the amount of weight and coverage that it deserves. So there we have it as well. So that's the first story. So let me know your thoughts on all that in the comment section. Let me know your thoughts on the revelations and whether you think that the Duke of Sussex should in fact even pay for his own protection, knowing what we know now. I want to know your thoughts in the comment section. So that's the first story out of the way. Now we have another story where in the same vein, apparently Stormzy had a song out and some people were saying that perhaps there was a line or two in the song that might have referenced Meghan. So he did confirm that. There was a clip going around where he was speaking about how people do not like the Duchess, and he really placed emphasis on the fact that she is black or mixed race. And of course the interviewer with him was so animated, talking about how Meghan's mom is black and she has dreadlocks and that's the way she presents herself. So that was what the host was saying as well. And Stormzy also talked about a presenter who spoke and said, I think it was a presenter who spoke and said that he just looks at Meghan and there's just something about her. That's why that individual did not like her. And he was saying, perhaps that person doesn't like her. Perhaps could it be something to do with her race, he asked. So, he has been, of course, speaking out as well against the racism that we have seen. And you know what? I think that it's time for people just to call this out. And it doesn't have to be an awkward conversation. If Meghan herself talks about what she might have gone through and also talking about how someone there had concerns about Archie's color and how it might appear on the balcony on all their official days when they're standing out on the balcony of Buckingham Palace, I think it's time to have those quote uncomfortable conversations and push through them and see what change can happen, because people can't change what they won't confront. So that is a segue into this story. Today, a Buckingham Palace aide resigned over remarks to a charity boss who was black. So this is a story where Ngozi Fulani, the head of a domestic abuse charity, was questioned where in Africa she was from during the Queen Consort's event at the palace. She took to social media and she posted about what she had gone through, and she said that she had mixed feelings about her visit to Buckingham Palace because of what she had gone through. She said that she was, quote, totally stunned. Quick summary of the back and forth that she had with that palace staff official, who, by the way, is someone quite senior there. We'll get into that a bit later. So she says this in her post. Okay, so this is her post. She says, quote, mixed feelings about yesterday's visit to Buckingham Palace. 10 minutes after arriving, a member of staff, Lady SH, approached me, moved my hair to see my name badge. The conversation below took place. The rest of the event is a blur. So there she goes on to post about her asking her what part of Africa she was from, and basically pressing her to find out exactly where she was from. And even when she talks about the fact that her people did not have records, she still kept on pressing. So, there's that. And you can see she posts the image of how she was dressed for the day, and just so sad. So in the end, the palace issued a statement and said that the comments were, quote, unacceptable and deeply regrettable, and it took the incident extremely seriously, in quotes. So an eyewitness, Mandu Reid, told the BBC that the questions were, quote, offensive, racist, and unwelcoming. Miss Reid said that she had a sense of incredulity about the exchange with a member of the royal household, in which Miss Fulani was, quote, interrogated about where she was from, even though she explained she was born and lived in the UK. The palace also went on to say, quote, in this instance, unacceptable and deeply regrettable comments have been made. We have reached out to Ngozi Fulani on this matter and are inviting her to discuss all elements of her experience in person if she wishes. In the meantime, the individual concerned would like to express her profound apologies for the hurt caused and has stepped aside from her honorary role with immediate effect. All members of the household are being reminded of the diversity and inclusivity policies that they are required to uphold at all times, end quote. So Ms. Fulani, by the way, is the founder of the London-based charity Sister Space, which supports women of African and Caribbean heritage across the UK who have faced domestic and sexual violence. Along with 300 guests, she had been invited to a high-profile reception at the palace on Tuesday, where the Queen Consort had warned of a, quote, global pandemic of violence against women. After the event, Ms. Fulani described her conversation on Twitter, which of course I've shared with you. So the article here that is from BBC, by the way, goes on to talk about her post and goes on to talk about the, quote, chit-chat that was being had at that reception, but saying that it became, quote, really unpleasant interaction when, despite Ms. Fulani's replies, there was an insistent questioning about her background. They also went on to say that people were stunned into silence afterwards and said that Ms. Fulani should receive an apology and those working at the palace should receive training. So there we have it, another story. So what this article does not point out fully is the fact that she does, in fact, name the person who held her hair aside and kept questioning her, by the way, which is absolutely unacceptable. She is, first of all, Ngozi Fulani is someone who is very well respected in her field, and she should have gone there to be celebrated, not to be treated like, she was unwelcomed. So for her to go there and expect that she would get collaborative partnership and celebration in the work that they do and to leave feeling like that, it's quite ironic, especially as one considers why they were there in the first place. So it is quite interesting. Of course, she only writes in her post and says that a member of staff, Lady SH, is the person in question. I think a lot of you online have been pointing out that the person is in fact Lady Susan Hussey, who is a courtier, who was courtier serving the Queen as a lady in waiting. And by the way, the King also promoted her as well. He retained her. So thank you for those who pointed that out. And as of this recording, it is official news. I've seen outlets like BBC and Sky News covering it as Prince William's godmother. So there's no enigma here. I think it's pretty much out in the open who did it. And I also listened to an interview where Ngozi Fulani spoke to LBC, and she has spoken about in her own culture and in African culture as a whole, we tend to respect elders. So I will follow in that suit and say that I'm not naming her here to bring any kind of heat on her. It's just highlighting the fact that something happened and what is the way forward? How can we look forward to solutions? So I'd like to encourage that in the comment section, just to emulate the fact that Ngozi has spoken and said that she did not want to disrespect her as an elder, because she is, of course, an elderly woman, but she wanted to just highlight what had happened to her, and listening to the fact that she went through something that was so distressing. And she has gone on to expound how it really felt like an interrogation to her. She said that the questioning just went on and on for about 5 to 6 minutes. She felt like for her time was slowing down and it was happening to her in front of people. So it's very complicated. You could see that she could appreciate the fact that the palace took quick action to make sure that Lady SH stepped away from her position in her having to resign. But I could really hear that Ngozi Fulani did not want even the Lady SH to lose her position in those types of circumstances. She would have wished for there to have been some kind of a way for her to learn internally there in that system that was not the way to represent not only herself, also in her role as a royal staff member, she should not represent the royal family in that way. So it was just a very interesting conversation listening to her. You could see a lot of layers as well, but I'm praying for her healing. She really did go through something that was so distressing. Interesting, isn't that? And now we have another spotlight on how the workings of the palace or the royal institution, it can only make you wonder what Meghan might have gone through. I think if Meghan was to write a book, I think it would be very, very interesting. So there's that story, and I wanted to highlight that. So once again, when Harry and Meghan have spoken out in the past on some of the experiences that they have gone through, I think it's really something that is quite layered. Not only the unfair criticism in certain sections of the media and, the trying to bring her down that she went through with all of, the straight out of Compton almost type of headlines that were directed especially at Meghan. And who can forget this image? And now we have someone who went to Buckingham Palace and had that kind of an experience there. So I think there needs to be an overhaul there at the palace, and not trying to sweep things under the rug, but going to the root of them and figuring out how to change things. So this story really does make one consider, especially what Meghan herself has spoken about going through, and perhaps even the unspoken things that she has gone through. And now that we've seen someone else who was in that environment just for a short while, having that kind of encounter, which had racist overtones, and even you can imagine someone actually physically moving her hair, someone who she did not know like that. You can't say that they had that rapport. And I think in Western culture, I think for people to, put their hands on each other, I think that's like a no-no, especially if you don't know one another. So she has said she went through something. So what as a whole is the takeaway from this? Is it stoking up, racist accusations? Is it just finger pointing or blaming? Or is it saying, perhaps can we spare a minute to think and have some compassion for someone who could have gone into that environment and who in the position that she was in was not a quote norm in that environment as a biracial duchess, and maybe she had some experiences there that weren't quite pleasant. So what is it that people are calling for? It's just for some introspection and compassion is all. If people are tired of hearing about these racist things that people go through, you can imagine how tiring it must be for the recipients of that kind of behavior. Imagine that. And when you think about it, we are all the human race. It's so ridiculous. And having some hating on some for nothing more than melanin. So all we're saying is spare some compassion and let's get to the root of this, because in and of itself, racism has no merit. It makes no sense. It is hating on someone for the amount of melanin in their skin, and that's it, right? So let's just have a minute to have some compassion. Is there more that can be done, is all we're saying. And now I think people can just kind of understand if Meghan said she may have gone through something. And for those people out there who do not like her, spare some compassion. Perhaps there's something that she might have gone through. It would be kind of nice to extend that kind of empathy and sympathy for her and other people in that environment who have spoken up about things that they have gone through. So let me know your thoughts on Ngozi Fulani's experience, and let me know if you think it was isolated, one-off, or do you think that there is more that can be done to confront these kind of experiences that people have spoken out concerning the royal family and those who work within that institution. I want to know your thoughts. So let's cap this all off right now on a high. Invictus Games Dusseldorf took to their social media and have given us an amazing tease for the Invictus Games that is coming ever closer. So we have a video there and we can see a couple of the athletes playing a couple of games there. They're playing table tennis and it feels so impactful, high energy, and they have posted and said, be a part of it to experience the power of sport in recovery in Dusseldorf from the 9th to the 16th of September 2023, and tickets for the opening and closing ceremonies are now available. So I will put a link in the bio, and there you can see it. Harry featured in the ad, and Meghan as well. She is right there supporting Prince Harry in this initiative, and it's gonna be amazing. I'm so hyped for these games because, as I've said before, I totally agree with the fact that these men and women and those who care for them, they need this moment and this spotlight. It is so well deserved. So I cannot wait. I'm so happy to see Harry and Meghan involved in all of the build-up. I love the fact that they're there right in the thick of it, getting ready in that shot to play a game. So I love it. Let me know your thoughts on all these stories in the comment section below. Now, before we log off, a special thank you to all who support this channel financially, and I would like to give a special shout out right now to a couple of you. I would like to say thank you to you, Cookies and Cream. Thank you so much for supporting this channel financially and for your comments and all the ways you engage. Thank you. A special thank you to you, Connie Balmer, as well. I appreciate you so very much for your generosity and your love. Thank you so much, Connie. And a special thank you to you, Patricia Benjamin. Thank you so very much for your continued and faithful support for this channel. I want to say God bless you from the bottom of my heart. Thank you. And thank you to Angel Watt, who has been such a consistent giver through PayPal. Thank you so much for your giving, Angel Watt. You are so special and dear. I say God bless you. So once again, thank you to all who like, comment, and share. Leave your thoughts on this video below and give this video an upvote. Click that thumbs up button. Let YouTube know you enjoyed what you watched. I love you all and have a great day, and I'll catch you in the next one. Have a blessed one.